What is up, guys? It is Mikeman WBA here, your coach of the West Bromwich Altarias, and we are back with a new draft recap video, this time for our new league, the TBF, the Terminus Battle Factory. This league, if you missed the hype/intro video that was on the channel the other day, is a new YouTuber league that I am a part of. With a couple of other guys. I think it's a 12-person league. Probably should have checked that beforehand. I'm pretty sure it's a 12-person league, which means it's an 11-week season with playoffs afterwards as well. This video just going to go over the team that I have drafted. If you would like to see the order in which everything was drafted, we did actually live stream the draft. I believe that was over on Gumby's Twitch channel, and the link to his Twitch, which had the draft, as well as everybody else's YouTube that is part of the series, that will all be in the description down below. But now that the awkward pleasantries are out of the way, let's jump straight into the West Bromwich Altarias roster for the TBF Season 1, and kicking us off with our first pick. And it was something I was surprised to get because I was quite far down in the draft order. If I just double check where I was, I'm pretty sure of the 12 people I was 10th. Yeah, I've just double checked. Of the 12 people, I was 10th. So I'm surprised that this one came all the way down to 10th. So the first pick for the West Bromwich Altarias was Mew. Now, Mew was something I've always wanted to pick up in draft format, but I've never got around to it. And it's a great mon just because it is so versatile. It can be a lead, it can be your stealth rocker, it can be a taunt, wall breaker. It can be just specially offensive power. The fact that it learns every TM just makes it so versatile. It can do practically anything, and those base 100 stats across the board are very nice indeed when it comes to it being a mon in general. You can have it offensive, you can have it bulky. It can do both things. It has a good speed stat. So it's going to outspeed like Chanseys and Theraforms, obviously, and pretty sure it even outspeeds Mamoswine, as long as you probably need to put a bit of speed into it. But something like a Mamoswine lead, you can outspeed, you get a taunt off, or you can get an Aura Sphere off, or something like that. So Mew, I guess our captain for the season. It's our tier 1, and it is our first pick. Something that I'm very happy to pick up. So he is the first draft pick for the West Bromwich Altarias. Now, next up, it was actually our second pick as well, and maybe something that some people will be surprised by, because our second pick was Entei. And now Entei is another mon that I really love. I've wanted to use it for a while, just because, again, I feel like there's a lot of people run one or two certain sets, but there's a lot of versatility in Entei. It can do so much. And you notice here the capital Z next to Entei. That is because in this league we actually have two different types of Z users. We have our super Z user and we have our offensive Z user. Now, offensive Z users can only use Z moves that do damage. So our offensive Z user, you'll find later, I think works quite well. Our super Z user can use anything as a Z move. The only limitations on this that we had were Omni boosting moves and the Genesis Supernova. So you'll notice that obviously Mew isn't our Super Z user, and while it still would have been a good Super Z user, I decided against it in the end. I decided to give it to Entei because I think there's a lot of really cool things we can do that some people won't expect. that can really help us out. So Entei can use any Z move as long as it doesn't give him stat boosts in more than one stat. So Mew wouldn't have been able to use the Genesis Supernova, obviously the Munium Z. Komodo wouldn't have been able to use his Commonium Z. I think they're the only two limited crystals. But like we wouldn't have been able to use like a Z conversion, for example, or Z Happy Hour, stuff like that. But there's still stuff we can do with Entei. It's got great HP stat, great attack stat. It's another base 100 speed mon. It's decently bulky and it has a nice special attack as well in case you want to run special offense to catch someone out. But I'm happy with Entei. It's a good offensive fire type. You'll notice that I quite like offensive fire types that have a bit of bulk as well. Stuff like Entei, Arcanine, Rotom Heat I've used in the past. I'm not sure if I've done that on stream. I'll say on stream while I've been recording. But I quite like bulky fires that still hit quite hard as well. So next up, and I believe we drafted this third as well, another mon that is very, very versatile is Silvally. And I think, where have I put the stats for Silvally? They're in the wrong place. I think I forgot to put them down. But Silvally is base 95s across the board. I don't know where my list of stats for Silvally have gone. Hopefully I can edit them in a bit. If not, doesn't really matter. Silvally just base 95 across the board. Obviously it can be any type with its ability. The RKS system can be any type. So if we want to build a team, or if we notice a team is weak to one specific type, we can bring Silvally as that type and use him to hit them really hard and do a lot of damage. Or if we notice that they can't really break down a certain type, we can bring Silvally like that and we can bring it defensive, because 95 in both defenses and its HP, it's nothing to laugh at when it comes to bulk. And obviously with access to moves like Parting Shot, it's really, really cool. And there's some really cool techs you can do. Multi-attack obviously guarantees it having a stab. And also just it has a wide range of moves that it can use. And I think that is really nice to have. So next up we have ourselves a recurring member of my teams across different leagues and different teams, and that is Galvantula. Now Galvantula I wasn't necessarily going to draft this season. I was thinking of Galvantula. I was maybe thinking of Araquanid and a couple of other Webbers, but just before it came to my turn to pick Galvantula, I noticed that a lot of Webbers were actually going. I'm pretty sure I can't speak today. Araquanid got picked up, and I think another one or two Webbers got picked up in that same turn. So I decided to bite the bullet. I picked myself up a Galvantula. Good electric bug type with no outstanding stats, but the special attack and the speed make do. And combined with obviously its ability Compound Eyes, it makes Thunder a much more viable option. I believe it makes it 91% accurate as opposed to 70%, which is nice to have because it makes it more accurate than stuff like Stone Edge, makes it more accurate than Rock Slide, and 91% you're going to miss one eventually, but odds are you're going to hit. That speed is very nice. I believe it's the fastest Webber in the game. I might be mistaken, but I believe it's the fastest webs in the game. And you don't even have to run that. You can run just 4 attacks and hit quite a wide range of things. And it's just generally a nice one to have. Although sometimes it can be a little bit predictable, which is why sometimes you want to switch it up a little bit. So next up after Galvantula, we picked ourselves up a Gallade, and now I must say that Gallade even though it is my tier 4, it wasn't my 5th pick. I didn't pick down in order. Gallade actually came sort of near the end of the draft. I had my eyes on it as a mega, but as I was getting towards the end, I realised that they're... well, I had Gallade, Mega Gallade and Mega Medicham in my mind. But as I was getting to the end, I realised that I didn't have a steel type, and that was something I wanted to pick up with my Mega because there weren't great options for that in tier 4 and tier 5. So I decided to use my Mega slot for that as well, which is actually quite nice, as you'll see in a bit. I'll explain when we get to our Mega. But Gallade is a very, very nice mon. It has a lot of special attack. It's a fairly decent special wall as well. Obviously its HP lets it down a little bit. It's only 68, which isn't a massive amount. But the 115 special defense is quite nice. It's a decent speed at 80, so if you choice scarf it, it's going to outspeed a lot. You don't have to necessarily choice scarf it. You could choice bandit and it just hits like a truck. That can be very helpful for breaking down walls. Because obviously you don't really need the speed for a lot of walls because most of the walls are slow. It also has a massive help in its move pool, having access to psychic moves, fighting moves, ghost moves, dark moves. Pretty sure it gets like acrobatics and aerial ace, although I might be making that up. And I'm pretty sure it gets the elemental punches, maybe. But a good move pool on Gallade, fairly versatile. Very happy to pick this up, as Gallade is again one of my favourites. I've picked a lot of mons this season that I actually like on a personal level, which I don't often do in draft formats actually. I tend to pick mons that I know are good as opposed to that I like. So I'm hoping that this season I can really play to my strengths and to stuff that I know, because that was one of my problems in the DGBA, is that I drafted a team that I didn't know anything about, and obviously I struggled for the first couple of weeks until I eventually sort of learned the team and how they gelled, and we had a little bit of a resurgence towards the end of the season, but unfortunately it was a little bit too late. Now our tier 5 was an interesting pick. I wanted a fairly bulky grass type, and I'm actually surprised that this mon came into tier 5, because our 5th pick is Leafeon. And now Leafeon is bulkier than I knew, because I can't remember if I recorded this or not last season. I don't think I got round to it. No, I wouldn't have, because it was the last week of season 4, I believe, and we played Jack in the DGBA, and he had a Leafeon, and I didn't realise that it was so defensively bulky, because I had a +3 Tyranitar in, and he switched in his Leafeon, and it lived a +3 Ice Punch from a Mega Tyranitar. And, sorry, it wasn't a Mega Tyranitar, it was a normal Tyranitar because I had a weakness policy. But it lived a +3 Ice Punch from an Adamant Tyranitar, and obviously got the revenge with a Leaf Blade. So it's got very good defense, so it's 130 defense. Unfortunately, not the best HP, but the defense kind of makes up for it. Very good attack as well with 110, which allows it to live a hit, maybe from something that's set up a little bit, and then hit it back quite hard. And a decent speed tier at 95 as well means it outspeeds quite a few things that might otherwise cause problems. And it has a decent move pool as well. It's not the biggest move pool, but it has a lot of moves with high attack that will hit quite hard. And it's something that I think people might miss up in their team building. They might think, oh, I don't really need to bring maybe more than one thing for Leafeon, and then he finds that thing dies in the battle. I've got Leafeon, and then he has nothing for it. Hopefully, at least, that is the case, because I think Leafeon might do some decent work for us this season. Now, next up is our Mega. And this was actually the last pick of the draft, because a lot of people took their picks early, and then I believe it was me, Parksy, and Spoink, I believe, who had our mega picks sort of still there halfway through, and we all kind of made a little decision. We sort of all knew what the other ones were going to take, so we didn't have to pick them straight away and worry about being sniped. So we left our mega picks to the end, and our mega pick is Mega Aggron. And now Mega Aggron is a very nice one to have, because it's probably the best physical wall in the game. That very, very nice 230 defense, boosted by the fact it has the filter ability, which I believe takes 3/4 from super effective attacks. So rather than a super effective attack doing double the damage, it only does 1.75 times the damage, which obviously still a lot, but it just takes that sting out. And as well as that, it can set up on both sides. It has some fairly reliable recovery. Quite a common set for Mega Aggrons, you'll probably know, is for like a rest curse set with heavy slam, which we could bring some weeks, or we could switch up and bring some other things. But on top of that, has a very nice 140 attack, decent HP and special defense, HP being 70, special defense being 80. It's not amazing. A couple of mixed attackers might catch us out by bringing special instead of physical, but I think we can deal with it as well. You might notice that we have quite a few physical walls. I think we've only really got 2, maybe 3 at this point if you count Mew as a wall. But we have another couple of mons coming up as well, and we have Gallade for the special side at the minute, and I guess Mew for the special side as well. It's an interesting one, because I quite often draft hyper offense. I've been called out on it before for not drafting walls and then being unable to deal with stuff, but I feel like I've dealt with that this year, and I've drafted a bit more defensively, so hopefully I can pull it off. If not, it might be a long season. But Mega Aggron was our mega pick, and the fact that Mega Aggron is actually a tier 2 mega freed up 40 more free points for our free draft at the end. You'll see actually that this is a 12-mon league, giving us 5 free picks with a 500 point cap. So we got 540 points, which was very nice. And the first free pick we picked up, you might see at this point that we don't have a dragon yet. And the first free pick that we drafted was Salamence. And I need to put the HP up as well. So Salamence, I think, was possibly the best thing we could have drafted as our first free pick. And that's because I believe it was tier 4. Sorry, not tier 4, round 4 that we drafted Salamence. And at this point we'd gone tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And I was looking at what we could do, and I was like, I guess Dragalge would be our best shot. But I wasn't feeling Dragalge. It's a bit too slow. I don't really like Dragalge. I feel like it could be played around too easily. It's fairly limited on what it can do. It tends to bring one set, and people switch between Scarf or Specs depending on if they need the speed or not. But then I just happened to look at the tier 1s again, and I noticed that Salamence hadn't been drafted, which is fairly odd, because I think in most of the drafts I've done, Salamence has gone fairly early. But Salamence was there, and I thought, you know what, we'll pick up our first free pick. It is a tier 1, but it's a very good tier 1. And you'll notice that we have made it our attacking Z user, so we can hit people with the powerful devastating drakes, where you can hit them with the powerful what's the word called, supersonic sky strike, or infernal overdrive, or whatever we want. because Salamence hits like a truck with that 135 attack. Even if you don't want to do that, if they have a lot of physical walls, you've got the nice 110 special attack on top of the 100 speed to deliver it. And it's fairly bulky as well. Obviously you don't want it eating too many hits on the super effective side, but 95 HP with 80 defenses isn't anything to laugh at. It's going to pretty much live any sort of just stab hit, as long as it's not super effective, or even a super effective move that's not stab. It has a chance of living fairly well, and it's probably going to get revenge. And obviously it's got great abilities, I believe, Moxie and Intimidate. I can't think what the other one is. I'll just have a quick look. I believe it's got 3. Actually, it might just be Moxie and Intimidate. Yeah, so just Moxie and Intimidate for Salamence. Either of them are great, because obviously Intimidate lowers an attack, or we come in with someone fairly low. We go for the we have Moxie, Salamence. We come in maybe with a Scarf, and we can sweep at the end of the game. But Salamence is something I'm very happy to pick up. Probably the first out and out attacker on the team, maybe Entei as well. Oh, and Gallade obviously, but probably our main attack threat on the team is Salamence. So our second free pick, I believe it was tier 3, might have been tier 2. I probably should have written these down. Our next pick was Blastoise. And now Blastoise was another one that was fairly near the end. All of our 3 picks, I believe, I think we went Mew, Entei, Silvally, Salamence, Galvantula, and then Blastoise. So it was around pick 6 or 7. I wanted myself a bulky water type, and at this point in the game there were 2 options available to me. There was Blastoise and there was Milotic. And while I like Milotic, something drew me towards Blastoise this time. It's got very nice special defense, very nice defense. Most people tend to run bold, I believe. The plus defense nature, minus attack nature. And they sort of use it as a rapid spinner, because it is a very good rapid spinner. I think it's, at the moment, apart from Mew, I think, getting Defog, it's our only. It's probably going to be our primary. What's it called? Like spinner or defogger. We have a couple of other mons that can do it as well, but Blastoise is probably, when you look at the team, you go, right, that's the spinner. Obviously, we don't have to bring it like that every week, because some people will be expecting it to come as that, and we can switch up a little bit. But it's another defensive mon. Works quite well on both sides, has a decent HP stat, has surprisingly fast, I think. I think some people sleep on how fast it is. We were talking about, I think it was Gallade having 80 speed, and how it outspeeds a lot of walls, so you don't need to run that much speed on it. But Blastoise, you never know. You come in with a sneaky speed creep and maybe get a burn off of a Scold or something. You never know. Or it might just outspeed it when it's low and pick up the KO. Because it has decent attacks as well. 83 and 85, while they aren't amazing, they're nothing to laugh at. And I think Blastoise could maybe pick up a few kills. Maybe more like passive kills through like toxics or burns or whatever. But you never know. I find Blastoise tends to pick up a kill or 2 in the game. But that's all for Blastoise. Our next free pick, and it is another defensive mon, and it's actually another removal option, and it is Florges. This was by far the best fairy left in the draft, and it's one of the best fairies anyway. Probably only Gardevoir / Mega Gardevoir and Sylveon. Maybe Azumarill compete with it, but I think Azumarill's quite limited. It's either going to be Belly Drum or Choice Band, pretty much, with huge power every time. Obviously you can do different things to switch it up, but pretty much it's going to be those two things. Florges is a lot more versatile. It's probably our best Wish passer. Maybe, I think Mew gets Wish. Can't think off the top of my head. Again, it's been a while since we drafted this. I haven't had the time to do this yet. This is the first chance I've had. But Florges, decent HP, decent defense, but what you're really looking at is that special defense. This is probably our best special wall, with 154 special defense, doing very nice things to protect us on the special side. 112 special attack as well, very nice. And personally I love the Fairy Steel Dragon Core that we have of Florges, Aggron and Salamence. All of them can hit fairly hard. Mega Aggron's Heavy Slam's going to hit most things pretty hard. If it's not, then Salamence or Florges are going to hit it. Mega Aggron and Florges obviously very defensive mons as well, and Salamence can probably take a hit or two if we need him to. Florges 75 speed is pretty average either way, but again it's another defogger, so it can do not recovery, it can do some hazard removal for us if we need it to, if we can't bring Blastoise. Maybe they have a very electrical grass heavy team that we can't bring Blastoise for, and Florges can come in with a defog and deal there. It's also a healer. It can use obviously aromatherapy and heal any burns or toxics if we need it to. So it's a pretty good cleric and a pretty good defensive option. Now our second to last pick, you might look at this and notice that I believe there are 2 types that we don't have. Maybe a couple more. I'm not entirely sure. I think there's 2 that we don't have. And that is a dark type, and that is a ground type. So I was looking at that, and I hadn't got Mega Aggron at this point, and I don't think I got Leafeon quite yet. But I was looking at what was left, and I decided that the best option we could go for was Mandibuzz. Now Mandibuzz is a mon that I love dearly. Mandibuzz, when I was playing through Black version, was my favourite mon of probably the generation. When I first started battling fairly competitively in Monotype, I used Dark. Mandibuzz was my ace, and you look at its stats and you maybe wonder why, but 110 HP is very, very nice. 105 defense is very nice, especially paired with the HP, as is 95 special defense. 80 speed is very nice. We've got a couple of mons around 80 speed. I think we've got 2 that are 80 on the dot and a couple that are nearby, such as Blastoise and Florges. The attacks aren't the greatest, but it has the move pool to justify having the low attacks. Stuff like Knockoff and Foul Play and Brave Bird are very nice. And then because it's so bulky, you can run Toxic and stall stuff out. Mandibuzz is just, it's another one of those ones where you look at it and you think, how can I not draft this at this point? It's good, I like it, and it was available, and it was definitely the best dark type available that I could draft. Because I believe at this point I had enough 3 points for a tier 3 and a tier 5, which gives away now that the last pick was a tier 5, so it's nothing too exciting. But Mandibuzz I was very happy with, and I believe, yeah, it was a tier 3 Mandibuzz, so it was the best dark type available, other than something that would have repeated some types that we didn't really want repeating. So yeah, it's our second flying type, but the other flying type is Salamence. And we have enough resistances to electric and ice and rock, in my opinion. I mean, Aggron's not taking anything from an ice or a rock type. And for electric types, we have stuff like Galvantula, and we have stuff like Leafeon, and we have stuff like our last pick, which is our ground type, and it is the unofficial mascot of the season. And our last pick is Stunfisk. That's right, we've drafted Stunfisk. Actually, I was saying about Mandibuzz being my favourite mon from Generation 5. That's a lie, because Stunfisk is my favourite mon from Generation 5. And I mean this completely 100% honest. I'm not joking. I love Stunfisk. I think it's great. I think it looks great. I think it's really good to use as well. 109 HP is nice. 99 special defense is nicer. 85 defense is decent as well. It's another stealth rocker if we need it. It's an electric immunity. It's got quite a few weaknesses. Not weaknesses. Quite a few resistances to Stunfisk. Also, static as an ability is very nice, especially paired with Discharge, which when you have a physical attacker against Stunfisk, gives you something like a 60% chance to paralyze per turn if they're making contact with you and you're using Discharge, which is obviously, it's always nice. Has a decent move pool as well. Access to Earth Power, Discharge, Scold, Sludge Wave, and a couple of other moves as well. Sometimes I run it Assault Vest, a little bit of a spoiler if anyone's actually made it this far. It's in the league. Sometimes I run it Assault Vest and it just becomes a very nice special defensive wall. I think the one thing probably that hinders it is its recovery, especially if you're running Assault Vest. You're not really going to recover any HP, but also it's kind of an anti-Trick Room mon, because if anyone wants to bring Trick Room against me, I bring in the 32 speed Stunfisk and just start paralysing things, which, I mean, paralysing can help Trick Room teams, but I think Stunfisk, I'm going to make a bold prediction. Stunfisk is getting a kill this season. At least one kill this season Stunfisk is getting. Whether it be passively, whether it be through an attack, Stunfisk is getting a kill. That is my solemn promise to the fans, to my fans, to the TBF fans. Stunfisk will get a kill this season. And it will probably be against Kohanks because his team is randomised. I don't know if you guys saw that. If not, go and watch Kohanks's. Well, go and watch everyone's draft video. Definitely go and watch Kohanks's because he randomised his entire draft. And what he drafted tier 2 will make you chuckle. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I wanted this to be about 10 minutes shorter than it was, but it was 10 minutes shorter than the last one, so I'll take it. A 30-minute draft recap for the TBF. We're getting it down there. We're getting them shorter. But this one actually had a mon more. So we definitely did well. I'll leave you with the assured face of unofficial team mascot Stunfisk. Thank you all for watching. Wish us the best of luck in the TBF. We might need it. There's some great battlers in there. There's some great teams in there. I think we've got a nice one, and I think we have a chance at playoffs. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys, I believe, next Monday. It should be for the first week of the TBF, where we face off against our unofficial friendly rival Parksy in a clash for the ages. So again, I keep saying it, thank you for watching. I'll see you next week for our week 1 battle against the Armar Armandos. See you then.